What up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Nesto, and this is Landing on Mars podcast. Special guest, my daughter. She's actually asleep right now, so yeah, I figured I let her get some rest and I can make some content, get some stuff put together. And I believe this is episode 20. And with episode 20, it's been a long ride from episode 1 to episode 20. And then even in the middle from episode 1 to episode 20, I tried to start another podcast, and that one just didn't feel right. And Landing on Mars is where I'm at and is where I feel more comfortable doing my content. And like I said before, a lot more things coming, but for the most part, like lately, I've kind of been going through a lot. And I just recently realized, and not necessarily recently, but I've always thought and I've always just thought about it, but like I don't really have the luxury of being depressed, being stressed, or even being sick. Like I have my daughter, I have my wife, I have my dogs, and it keeps me going. Okay, there's things that I'm going through now that could put me in a stage of being depressed. It could put me in a stage of even being stressed and all of that. But I've been there before. I've been depressed. I've been stressed. I've held myself back. In 2009, I lost someone very important to me. It doesn't take away from where I'm at now. It doesn't take away from anything where I'm at. But to understand me, you have to understand what I've come through and where I've been at. And in 2009, I lost someone very important to me. And it was a breaking point. It was like, yo, do I give up? Do I continue to go? What do I do? Because ultimately, at that particular point, I moved on as much as I possibly can. I kept myself on the straight and narrow, but it was one of those things that I always felt like I was never good enough. And in the midst of me going through stress, in the midst of me going through depression, I came across a bunch of people that shouldn't probably have not been in my life. I take away nothing from them because at the same time, I probably wasn't good for them. It was just one of those things that it was a mutual thing. Like in the beginning, I was chasing something that was never there. And I was always chasing the feeling that I knew I was never gonna get because it was never a content feeling like this is the way I should feel. It was always one of those feelings like it's temporary. And when you have temporary feelings, that's exactly what it is. It feels good for the moment, but then in the midst of whatever, it's gone. And that's just how it goes. Like that's just how it is. And when I lost at that particular point, the one thing that really kept me on the straight and narrow was the fact of Jigga. Jigga was the one that kept me going. He was the one that stayed by my side through the ups, through the downs, through whatever, through wherever I was going through, he was right there by my side. Whether it was ugly, whether it wasn't ugly, no matter what it was, he was right there by my side. And we survived. I survived, he survived. But like I said, in the midst of that, I made a lot of choices that I shouldn't have made. I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have not did. Things that I thought at the moment were gonna push me further, they really pushed me back. And years later, I am over here like, yo, getting myself out of those scenarios from years ago. And it is what it is. You live, you learn, you move on, you grow. You dwell on it, and I've dwelled on it for so long. And like I said, in the midst of when I lost in 2009, it just took me down a road that I really didn't want to go. But for the most part, on the up and up, I was still alive. So it wasn't like it wasn't like I was out there robbing, stealing. It was just more so it was a depression. It was feelings. It was more dealing with my mental health, dealing with my inner self, telling myself that, yo, I deserve this, but why do I deserve this so much? When you lose so much, and not even that, because even if you take it back to when I was younger, I didn't really have my mom in my life. And so it was like, so to me, when I lost at that particular point, I felt life was getting better. And when I lost, I was just like, damn, like everything I do, the more I try, the more it gets taken. The more I do this, the more it just, it just didn't pan out for me. So I always felt like I was the problem. I always felt like it was me. And like I said, when you feel like that, and when you put those thoughts in your own head, and you're making those problems for yourself, only you can get through that, because it's not like somebody putting you down or somebody saying this. You're putting those problems inside your head yourself. And I had to get to the point and tell myself, like, you know what, that's not me. Because regardless of whatever happened with my mom, I didn't I didn't do nothing for her to say, hey, I'm gonna leave. And regardless of whatever happened, all I did was try to help. All I did was try to be there. And I thought that's what I was doing. And I took myself out of that. I took myself out of that stage and out of that particular point in life. And when I got myself out of that, I don't want to ever go back to it. And the one person, the one I say person, I don't talk about him like a dog, but the one that was right by my side through all of it helped me get out of it. And now exactly what happened then, I'm going through now, but worse. I should, I am, when I'm by myself, when I'm alone, I don't really like to let my wife see me cry. I really don't like to let her see that, because I never want to show her that I'm weak. As a man, and as when you're in a marriage, you want to prove that you're the best. You want to prove that you could do anything. You want to, like, that's why kids, they look at fathers as Superman and as superheroes, because it's like the dad can do anything. I want to be that particular husband to my wife. I want to be that to my wife. I want to be that strong person to my wife, to my kids, to myself. But in times of hard times, yes, I can possibly break down, and I don't feel that doesn't take anything away from me. But I've always been a person that dealt with grief, and I've always been a person that dealt with stress and depression. I've dealt with it myself. When I was ready to talk to people, no one wanted to listen to me, and when everybody wanted me to talk, I never talked. I always just kept it away. But with everything that goes on, with the cost of living, with the cost of just life, I know I can't be depressed. I know I can't be stressed. I know I can't do all of that, because if I do all of that, it's taken away from everything that I've grown from. And even if I'm sick, like, I can't be sick. My daughter was sick, and I left work early, and I'm like, cool. Like, at the end of the day, I love to hustle. I love to do everything I do, but I'm not gonna take anybody's health over like making money. And it sucks, because when it comes to my health, I'm just like, you know what? I'll go at the end. Like, I'll go when I need to go, pretty much. I'm not rushing to go to the doctor, and maybe I should be, because like, just to make sure on my health. But as far as I came in life, I see that I don't have that luxury. I don't have. If someone wants to talk about me, talk. Say what you got to say, because I don't have the time to worry about what you're saying. Because if I'm worrying about what you're saying, I'm not worrying about what I'm doing. And if I'm not worrying about what I'm doing, then that's something I got to worry about. Because opinions are going to come, opinions are going to go, people are going to come, people are going to go. And that's just the reality that we live in. You know, you could be loyal, you could be respectful, you could be lovable, you could be all this, but you say no once, and you can't show up once or twice, and that's your image. And it's like, to me, it's like anything that I do, I always do with 100% me just being authentic and me just being real. I never do anything and assume that, hey, I'm going to get something back. I don't, because I understand in this world it doesn't work like that. Just because I'm nice, the next person is not going to be nice. And that's just the reality of it. And like I said, you just got to live life. And when you live life, you live life for yourself. And like I said, me being in the position I'm in, I should be depressed. I should be stressed. I should be all of that. And when I'm sick, I should be sick. But you know what? I don't got the time for it. That takes time. It takes time to go to the doctor. It takes time to get evaluated. It takes time to talk and release what you release. I'm very fortunate that I have my podcast. I have my platform. And I advise anybody get a platform. And you know what I mean? Like, if that's something you got to do for yourself, that's something you got to do for yourself. And you know what? Life is going to come, and you never want it to pass you by. You never want life to get the best of you. You never want to be like, hey, like, I missed opportunities. I missed out on a lot of opportunities. I missed out on a lot of great relationships because I felt this person was there for me and that person was there for me. And in reality, nobody was there for me, because at the end of the day, I could honestly say the very few people that I have in my life that are lifetime is, shout out to Onofre. He's inducted. He's part of the fam. And when I say bro, when I say brother, I don't mean just like whatever. That's what I mean when I say bro, when I say brother, because man, loyalty, respect, all of that comes a long way. But like I said, man, all of that could be just tossed out. Like the bickering, the complaining, the I'm mad at the world and I'm mad at this person, I'm mad at that person, man. I ain't got time for it. And and I know a lot of people don't got time for it, but people make time for it. You dig? And that's just life, man. Like that's just life. And no matter how good you are, you're always gonna be bad in somebody's eyes. No matter how bad you are, you're always gonna be good in somebody's eyes. When you feel like nobody loves you, think about your mom. Think about, if you have kids, think about your kids. If you have your parents, your dad, think about your dad. Think about those people, because those are the people that are gonna love you for who you are when you screw up, when you succeed, when you do whatever. And like I said, man, I've came a long way. And you know what? There was, honestly, I really wanted to break this down in a different way and in a different, like, explain it different. But I personally, I don't want to offend anybody. And I'm not saying what I say is offensive, but what I've gone through, everything that I've gone through led me to where I'm at. And for me holding myself back, as far as being stressed, as far as being depressed, as far as being everything I was after I went through what I went through, all of that led me to where I'm at, because nothing ever worked out with anybody. And I always would say why. And then after a while I just stopped saying why. I just kind of just like whatever. Like, I just went along with the flow. And I remember right before I met my wife, I was already at the point where I was letting go, and I was like, you know what, I feel good. I want to get out there. And when I kind of started getting out there, that's when I met my wife. And we hit it off. And some odd years later now, we are married, we have our daughter, and ultimately we would have never had our daughter if we never got married. The first thing my wife told me is that she does not want to have no kids until she is married. I respected it. I honored it. We got married. We have our beautiful daughter. And yeah, we could have did things different. We could have did things different, but hey, the way our cards played out is how our cards played out. And one thing that my wife can always say is that, you know what, I respected her wishes, and I could honor that and say, you know what, I did respect my wife's wishes. And like I said, when me being the depressed person that I was, me making the stupid choices I was making, me getting myself into situations I never should have got myself into, ultimately led me to the road that I'm on now. And like I said, what I'm going through now is it's hard. It's hard. Pause. It's hard. Pause. And I don't. I want to make a specific episode on that, so that's why I'm not trying to get into. I'm not trying to get too in depth with it, but I should feel like that, and I do somewhat. But like I know that the deep depression, that the holding myself back, that keeping myself away from this, and just beating myself up, I can't do that. And if I do that, he wouldn't be proud, and I got to keep him proud of me and of what he went through with me and of what we accomplished. Depression is real, stress is real, illness and sickness is real. And somehow I manage. I manage through the strength of God. I manage through the strength of myself, the strength of my wife being there, the strength of my daughter being there, my beautiful doggies being there. And if you love me, you love me. And if you don't, it's okay. I don't need no one to love me. I don't want no one to love me. I am blessed for anybody that loves me and cares for me, with all honesty. Take care of yourself. Mental health is real. Take care of yourself. Stress is real. Depression is real. Like I said, all this is real. And we all manage in our own way. We all go through it our own way. You have to figure it out yourself. And not in a bad way. Y'all be safe out there. Y'all have a wonderful night. Today is game day. So go Cowboys, go. Sun messed up a little something, but you know what? It's all good for the most part. I was done with the point I was trying to make. Hopefully everybody was able to hopefully everybody was able to catch on what I was saying, but I really appreciate everything. Landing on Mars podcast. I am your host, Nestor the Spitter, and there is nothing more to say. Until next time, yalla.